you have to really think about, are you going to make this your career, or are you just trying to like, make it like last for itself, or what are your goals? And I know for us in doing our band, I don't really know exactly everybody's goal, but for me, it was more so like, let's keep this self-sustaining. I wasn't looking to make it big or like, like all of that stuff would have been great, but I didn't want that to be like, oh, okay, I have to make it big or else like my life's over. Right?
The focus wasn't on the make or break moment. The focus was on building the business so that it was successful.
Yeah.
Every time we went out and played a show, every time we did something, it was done in a capacity where it was profitable for us.
And it was always slow burn. It was never
a big hit.
Big explosion. And that's kind of like, I think that's a good mentality, but I also think there needs to be that little bit of that dream, right? Where it's like where at least maybe one person in a band or something is like so far fetched that it's like, it's just so crazy. It just might work kind of thing.
It's it's kind of like that. Oh my gosh, what's the quote? The greater fool. The greater fool. Yeah, like the kind of person who is always reaching outside of their kind of realm for things that they can't. You know what I mean?
Right.
And pushing themselves, and I heard the quote from watching the newsroom, and it was like the guy, they were saying that he was trying to change a whole bunch of stuff, kind of thing. But the idea was like, most of the world is built on greater fools, people who are doing stuff that nobody else thought they could do,
right?
And they put their hard ass work into it and were successful at it.
Yeah,
building this microphone, this was never, when someone created this, and people thought that this would never been able to be created at one point, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that person himself could be labeled as the greater fool, right? Right. At one point, people looked at him as foolish for attempting this.
Yeah.
Edison would have been a greater fool. You know what I mean? Yeah, Einstein would have been a greater fool.
It's like a certain amount of naivete, right?
Naive, exactly, yeah. And just, I think I could do this, right? Which is like anyone who... Majority of people who get big and stuff like that and go to that level have that. Everyone has that in them, right? I think I could go do that. Yeah. Most people I know have that mentality of looking at something and saying, hey, I think I could go do that. That's why we're doing this. We've seen tons of people do this and be like, we have stuff to say. We think we could do this. Yeah. And here we are doing it.
Yeah. I think it's like, this is like very, very different compared to maybe like Elon Musk and Tesla, but it's the sentiment like that's still there, and and
it's a frame of mind.
Yeah, with bands and artists is like, everybody's been able to do it, and it's very different nowadays than like, back in the 70s when you were trying to start a rock band and spending like literally all your hard-earned money as a kid on a guitar that you don't know how to play. Like that's that naivete, right? Where you're just like, I've never played a guitar before, but I want to be in a rock band, and like I want to learn, and
I'm gonna pick it up and just go for it.
Yeah. And maybe that's why it's harder to even succeed now, is just because before you would be able to just like pick up, you spend your money on something, but you'd be able to pick up the instrument and you'd just like have this dream and this desire to go. But now there's so many options that like, if you're like, well, I just want to work in music, there's so many jobs. Some of them have nothing to do with the creation of music.
Yeah.